Just last week, we explored a breaking story about tantalum, a newly discovered mineral in Ghana that had scientists and investors buzzing. But before that excitement could even settle, something else has exploded onto the scene. A viral video has surfaced online, reportedly showing the world's largest gold rock, and it was discovered by a group of teenagers in Ghana. The footage is raw, unfiltered, and electrifying. Young men, some barely old enough to vote, are seen huddled around a massive gold nugget, their faces beaming with disbelief and pride. They're shouting, laughing, gripping the glistening rock like they've just unearthed a piece of the moon. And maybe they have, because if this discovery is verified, it could become one of the most significant gold finds in modern history. So far, Ghana's official gold authorities haven't confirmed the claim, but the buzz is real. The possibility alone has already set off a frenzy, and honestly, it wouldn't be shocking. Ghana is no stranger to gold. In fact, it's the largest gold producer in Africa and ranks 6th in the entire world. Its earth is so rich in gold that there's a local saying, "There is no land in Ghana without gold, even in the topsoil." That deep-rooted abundance is exactly why Ghana was once known as the Gold Coast, a title given by colonizers who came chasing exactly what these teenagers may have stumbled upon. Today, gold mining isn't just a job in Ghana. It's a tradition, a cultural backbone. From small-scale miners to major companies, Ghanaians have built their livelihoods digging into the past to power their future. And now, thanks to a single viral video and a group of lucky young men, the world is once again looking to Ghana, not just for gold, but for gold stories that could change everything. Since the video went viral, reactions have poured in from around the world. Many viewers are cheering these young men on, calling them heroes, pioneers, even symbols of hope. But not everyone is celebrating. A wave of concern has followed the excitement. Some viewers believe these men might be part of Ghana's shadowy world of illegal gold mining. In Ghana, they call it galamsey, a word that carries both desperation and danger. These miners often have no license, no safety equipment, and no legal protection. Just bare hands, rusted shovels, and an unshakable hunger to survive. Galamsey is everywhere. Young, unemployed men scattered across the countryside, digging through soil and rock, chasing gold dust in the hope of a better life. Some rely on old-school panning, washing dirt through sieves, watching for that telltale shimmer. This underground movement didn't come out of nowhere. Soaring gold prices and rampant youth unemployment have driven thousands into the unregulated mining trade. But it's come at a steep cost. Ghana's rivers are polluted, forests are vanishing, and local communities are left grappling with economic chaos and environmental collapse. So the question is, did these teenagers strike gold, or strike a nerve in a country already fighting a war between survival and sustainability? All across Ghana, the scars of illegal gold mining stretch far and wide. Thousands of makeshift mining sites have been carved into the land, often hidden deep within lush forests, once known for their world-class cocoa farms. But the gold rush changed everything. Driven by greed and desperation, local businessmen, powerful politicians, and small-scale miners have formed secret partnerships with foreign investors, many of them Chinese. Together, they've bought out entire cocoa plantations and transformed them into illegal gold pits. And when farmers resist, the tactics turn darker. There are chilling reports of threats, intimidation, even violence, used to pressure cocoa farmers into giving up their land. Refuse to sell, and you risk losing more than just your farm. The destruction is staggering. More than 4,700 hectares of land have already been wiped out, an area larger than Athens or Brussels. Even Ghana's protected forest reserves aren't safe. At least 34 of them have already been breached. And while Ghana remains the world's second largest producer of cocoa, its farmers see barely a fraction of the profits from the global chocolate industry, because the land that once grew cocoa now bleeds gold. But the damage doesn't stop with lost farmland. Illegal gold mining is tearing apart Ghana's ecosystems piece by piece. Once fertile lands are now barren wastelands. Thick forests, once home to rich biodiversity, have been stripped away. And the rivers, poisoned. To mine gold, you have to dig. But to extract it, you need chemicals. And those chemicals, like mercury, don't just vanish. Last year, Ghanaian artist Israel Derek Apidi, better known as Enil Art, took a trip to the Pra River, 125 miles west of Accra. He was joined by his friend Jay Sterling. What they saw was horrifying. The river wasn't clear. It wasn't even murky. It was thick, so discolored with gold sediment and chemicals that Israel said he could literally paint with it. Locals living along the river remember a different time. They say the water used to be crystal clear, so clean you could spot fish and even crocodiles gliding beneath the surface. Today, it's a yellowish-brown stream of toxicity. Dr. George Manful, a former senior official at Ghana's Environmental Protection Agency, put it plainly. Mercury from illegal mining can linger in the water for up to 1,000 years. The rivers are no longer safe. The water isn't just undrinkable, it's dangerous. Outraged, citizens across Ghana took to the streets. They marched, they chanted, they demanded an end to Galamsey and real protection for their land. But instead of action, they were met with arrests. Under President Akufo-Addo's leadership, dozens of protesters were detained, accused of illegal gatherings. The government later claimed it was cracking down. In September 2024, it announced that 76 people had been convicted for illegal mining, 18 of them foreign nationals. Over 850 more are still facing prosecution. But many Ghanaians are left asking, is this justice or just damage control? But for many on the ground, the arrests mean nothing. The illegal mining continues. The rivers keep dying. The land stays poisoned. One farmer, her voice heavy with frustration, chose to remain anonymous. She's scared, not of the miners, but of the power behind them. When I see the military arresting poor villagers, she said, it feels like a show. The real players, they're not digging with shovels. They're sitting in air-conditioned offices, making millions. And she may be right, because this crisis isn't just about desperate youth with gold fever. It's about a system, one fed by global gold prices that keep soaring higher. That hunger for gold has turned Ghana into a hotspot for an underground empire. Once mined, the gold disappears, smuggled out, quietly and efficiently. Many believe it ends up in places like the United Arab Emirates, China, and India, mixed with legal gold, refined, and sold into global markets without a trace. But it's not just gold prices fueling the boom. Ghana is also grappling with its worst economic crisis in decades. Unemployment is skyrocketing. Prices are climbing. Families are desperate. And so, in rural communities, Galamsey isn't just a crime. It's a job, a lifeline. Miners can earn up to $125 a week, more than many official salaries. Syndicates know this. They exploit it, and the illegal industry grows stronger every day. When President Akufo-Addo came into office in 2017, he made bold promises. He acknowledged what everyone already knew, that politicians, businessmen, even members of the security forces were neck-deep in Galamsey. He pledged to stop them, to restore the rivers, to offer real alternatives to the youth. But nothing changed. In fact, it got worse. Only when his presidency was on the line and protests flooded the streets did he finally act. Naval boats were deployed, emergency crackdowns ordered, but many saw it as too little, too late. Even members of his own party weren't expecting real enforcement. Why? Because the truth was uncomfortable. In the mining districts, where Galamsey runs deep, the illegal economy had become a political weapon, and with elections approaching, cracking down on Galamsey meant risking votes. So the land kept bleeding, while the silence of power grew louder. But the story didn't end there. In a twist of fate, the ruling party lost the election, and rising from the political ashes came a familiar face, former President John Dramani Mahama. This time he returned with a clear message: illegal mining must end. During his campaign, he promised to take bold, direct action against Galamsey. And now, just months into his new term, he's making good on that promise. The first strike? A ban on unregulated gold trading. Under the new law, all gold transactions must go through a government-controlled board. No license, no sale. It's that simple. For illegal miners, this changes everything. They can dig all they want, but without a license, They can't move their gold. If they try to sell it through official channels, they'll be exposed and prosecuted. If they try to go around the system, they risk being cut off from the market entirely. This move isn't just symbolic, it's strategic. According to mining governance consultant Nana Asante Krobea, the new policy sends a sharp, unmistakable warning, especially to foreign actors, including Chinese syndicates, who have long operated with impunity. If properly enforced, the law could do more than just choke illegal trade. It could restore order, tighten government control, and finally direct some of Ghana's gold wealth back into state coffers. For the first time in years, there's hope that the tide might be turning. But in a country where gold is power, the next moves will determine whether this crackdown is real, or just another promise lost in the mines. With this new approach, Ghana is breaking away from the old system, where both local and foreign companies with export licenses could freely buy and ship out gold mined by small-scale operators. That era is ending. President Mahama is steering the country in a bold new direction, and it's clear, this isn't politics as usual. This is leadership. Much like Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traoré, Mahama is proving himself to be a different kind of African leader. One who listens, one who acts, one who doesn't just campaign with promises, but delivers them. It's no surprise that he and Traoré have found common ground. They share a vision of an Africa united without borders. Imagine it. Instead of selling off Africa's treasures to the West for scraps, African nations could trade among themselves. Gold for oil, cocoa for machinery, jobs created, industries built, futures transformed, stronger economies, stronger currencies, stronger nations. A borderless Africa, where people and goods move freely, just like in Europe. A Nigerian entrepreneur could sell in Senegal, Tanzania, or Egypt, without barriers. A Kenyan student could attend university in Morocco. A South African family could start a new life in Ethiopia. And landlocked nations like Burkina Faso or Mali, they'd gain seamless access to the sea, unlocking trade routes and slashing costs. This is not a dream. It's the vision of a new Africa, rising, connected, and finally, in control of its own destiny. This is the vision of Africa that President John Dramani Mahama is unveiling to the world. A vision where the colonial lines that divided the continent for generations are finally erased. A vision of unity, of strength, of African nations standing not apart, but together. He's made this message clear on global stages like the Africa Prosperity Dialogue and the African Union Summit in Addis Ababa. And his words are unwavering. Africa must stop seeing itself as a patchwork of separate states. It must begin to function as one massive, interconnected economy, just like the European Union. And the stakes? Enormous. If African nations fully embrace a single market under the African Continental Free Trade Area, the continent could unlock an astounding $3.4 trillion in economic potential. That's not just a number. That's enough to ignite Africa's long-awaited industrial revolution, to lift millions out of poverty, to build factories, power plants, railways, and research labs, to finally become a global economic powerhouse, not just a resource pit for foreign powers. But to reach that future, Africa must make a choice. For decades, African nations have opened their arms to Western institutions like the IMF and World Bank, promised prosperity through liberalization, promised progress through foreign investment. But those promises were hollow. Instead of fueling industrial growth and economic independence, these policies left many African countries stuck, dependent, underdeveloped, and at the mercy of foreign corporations and lenders. President Mahama is calling for a new path, one where Africa invests in itself, trades with itself, believes in itself, because real power doesn't come from aid, it comes from unity. And for the first time in generations, that unity feels within reach. For far too long, foreign investors have played a dangerous game in Africa. They come with promises of jobs, development, and progress. But what they often leave behind is something else entirely: destruction, dependency, and loss. They've exploited weak institutions, exploited outdated laws, exploited the desperation of nations struggling to find their footing, And nowhere is this clearer than in Ghana. For decades, Ghana's gold industry has been dominated by foreign corporations, many of them shielded by legal loopholes and political connections. They mined billions from the soil, while the government watched its revenue vanish. Worse still, their presence helped fuel the rise of illegal mining. As big corporations took the lion's share, desperate locals were pushed to the margins to dig illegally, dangerously, and chaotically. It's been a slow erosion of control, of sovereignty, of dignity. But now, Ghana is fighting back. With the new law, the government is finally taking back control of its gold. It's cutting out the black market, stripping power from foreign syndicates, and most importantly, it's rewriting the rules. And this shift isn't happening in isolation. Across the Sahel, countries like Burkina Faso are doing the same, reclaiming their mines, guarding their borders, protecting their futures. Because for the first time in a long time, African nations are not just asking for change, they're making it. Just like President Mahama in Ghana, President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso is taking bold action. He's tightened control over the gold mining industry, ensuring the country, not foreign powers, benefits from its own wealth. For too long, Africa's mineral industries have been dictated by outsiders, and the result? Chaos. In Burkina Faso, illegal artisanal mining wasn't just an economic issue, it became a security threat. Jihadist groups took control of unregulated mines, using them to fund violence and instability across the region. But under Traoré's leadership, that tide is turning. His reforms are cutting off the flow of illicit funding. Mines are being reclaimed. Order is being restored. And now, Ghana is doing the same. The new gold law is more than just policy. It's a power shift. It strips control from Western corporations and puts it back in the hands of the Ghanaian people. And the impact is already showing. In just a few months, Ghana announced over $3 billion in gold export revenue. That's more than the country made in the same periods of 2023 and 2024, combined. This is what happens when a country takes charge of its own destiny. While some African nations still view new mineral discoveries with fear, worried about corruption, conflict, and exploitation, Ghana is showing that it doesn't have to be that way. With leadership, with vision, with the right laws and the courage to enforce them, a nation can rise. So, what do you think? Are we finally witnessing the beginning of Africa's gold revolution? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth stories from across the continent.